It's time now for CURES. Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, ADHD, can sometimes be a scary diagnosis for parents.
Yeah, but one local mom and dad are looking to spread awareness.
Joining us now are Jill and Adam Laudati, the authors of Itchy Brain, A Family's Perspective and Positive Outlook on ADHD. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I just want to say, I'm so proud of you guys, and I love this book because for those who have someone in their life, or especially a kid who's been struggling with ADHD, that's really what you hear, struggle, struggle, struggle. But you really take a positive outlook. I want to start with the title. How did you come up with Itchy Brain?
So we didn't come up with it. Our 13-year-old son did. One night, he was just probably around 2 or 3 years ago. He was having a difficult time, and he was really struggling. And we looked at him and I said, "What's going on? Tell me what's happening." And he goes, "Mom, my brain feels itchy." And then I looked at my husband and I said, "Wow, this would be a great way to describe how a brain may feel, or how someone might feel when they're having either an episode or some symptoms of ADHD."
You are literally, you're trying to turn a negative stigma into a positive experience. How are you doing that, though? I'm just so curious.
Well, we really want people to understand that it's a gift. It's not if a child's hyperactive, it's just they have endless energy. If a child isn't listening, they're just focusing on the fine details. We're really trying to take whatever the symptoms of a child or an adult who has ADHD and flipping it to make it more positive and have a better outlook on it, rather than always saying a child's struggling. They're not struggling. They're just looking at the world differently, and other people around them need to be flexible so the child or the adult can stride.
Adam, you're the adult, and you know what it's like because you, too, have boundless amounts of energy. I don't know if you actually had an official diagnosis when you were a kid, but you're trying to deal with it as an adult and help your kids.
Correct. So it's a little bit easier for me because I can see what they're going through like their lens, whereas Jill kind of can't. But it's just trying to be calm and patient and understanding, what they're going through when they're having those types of moments.
It must have been around when I was a kid, but there was no.
For sure. I can remember teachers putting a timer on my desk to get me to focus. Now, your doctor would probably say you have some attention issues, or who knows. But I think as adults, we get a little bit more executive functioning, but we're seeing these kids, and this is a time. What's your message of hope for parents? Because right now, they're going back to school. And for kids with ADHD, sometimes school isn't the easiest place to be with all those expectations.
Yep. So a lot of this memoir, which we like to call it, is about reaching out to the school systems, asking for accommodations, and letting parents know that they're not alone. There's so many great resources out there from doctors, which are fantastic, but we saw and we have trouble finding a real family story about how they dealt with ADHD within their family, and how we've turned it into a positive. We look at it as a positive. We really do, for our family.
And when did you know your kids had this? Were they 2, 3, 8, 10?
So what's funny is our oldest was really hyper. I even felt him in my stomach, moving around constantly. All my friends, when he was younger, he was going, his feet were constantly moving. So at a very young age, we knew our oldest, who's 13, but both of them got diagnosed around 8, going into 3rd grade, which is typically the time when a lot of students do get, because the expectations going into 3rd grade is a lot harder because, children there's the maturity level, especially with boys who are a little bit more immature than girls at different ages. So I think that we wanted to write it out to see if it really was a maturity and if an understanding of language, but then we realized, nope, they do need those accommodations for them to have the success they need at school.
I love that you said one of the messages that you want to get out there is you made your kids realize, you taught them how to advocate for themselves. Like, hey, I might need just to be in a quiet area. I can't focus with a lot of noise around me. That might be something they add to their 504. But how did you get your kids to be so accepting of it? Because I think sometimes kids get a diagnosis and they don't want to tell anyone. They're like, I just want to be normal. I want to be like everyone else.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is both of them, if something's happening, like my oldest is like, I have ADHD. I don't understand that. Or they've always been they're not shy kids at all. So they've always enjoyed talking, and they probably get in trouble probably more for talking in school than anything. And so their mouth's always moving. But we really focused on having them understand what was going on. If they're running around too much, after they sat down, okay, listen, what do you need? What do we need to do to help you to focus on what we're doing? So we really provided them with the language that they needed to, and help them understand what they needed to have that success that they would need in school.
The book, can children read this book, or is it a book that parents should read to their kids, or is it just for parents only?
No, so we wrote the book, so it's for everyone. We've had our friends as young as 8, 9, 10 read the book. It's split up in paragraphs. You can jump around. We're not preaching. We're not telling you what to do. We're simply just saying, this is what we've done. These are all the things that we've went through. And here's some things we think that could help.
I think it would help a lot of young kids to read it, especially the parts where your son wrote himself of like, Mommy, Daddy, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I need to move, or I can't listen right now. Like the way that he writes in his first person and helps you understand his itchy brain, I think is so helpful for the kids and for everyone. One thing before we let you go, you did find out that certain things in the food really bother them. Like your kids really got behavioral issues when they were eating things like red dye.
Yeah. Red dye is the big one. We didn't take away all the dyes just because there's so much in so many different foods and different candies. I can say chocolate's probably our kids' favorite, but I believe that we probably pushed them to like chocolate because the red dye really made, Xavier said it would just make him feel angry, and he didn't always feel himself. And our younger one, Xander, who's 10 now, he felt he would get super hyper and he just couldn't control himself. So we realized once we did a food log and just wrote down all the foods that had the different dyes, and then we noticed that the red dye was the contributing factor.
All right. Well, before we let you go, we just want to remind everybody that the book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, as well as on the website itchybrainadhd.com. Thank you guys for being with us.
Thank you guys. Thanks for sharing your story.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
You as well. Take care. Bye.
I love the title.
I do too.
So great.
I love it that they just it was a light bulb moment when their son was laying there saying,
great.
Mommy, I have an itchy brain.